Welcome everyone to Super Kicking with Steven. That's right, Super Kicking It with Steven, your favorite host right here, Steven A1181. We got Greg coming soon. So we'll have the band back together. We got plenty to talk about. I definitely want to hear his thoughts on what is going on in this whole AEW drama, possibly backstage. So as soon as Greg jumps on, we're going to get here. We got Big Ben in the chat. Good to see you, Big Ben. How you doing? Hopefully things are going well. Yeah, lots to talk about. CM Punk, anniversary of CM Punk debuting last year for the first dance. And now we got some CM Punk news as well as far as, backstage stuff. It's always that thing. You take it with a grain of salt, but hey, drama is drama, so we like to talk it up. Also, we'll be Greg has not had a chance to, give his thoughts on Triple H's uh, lead in the charge, his new, takeover of everything. So we had Heat Wave this week on Tuesday night. I thought that was very good. Harking back to the black and gold days. Yes, there was new faces, but it did feel like there was a different environment, a different feel to it. So we'll talk that up. We have, possible. Well, we do have a AEW World Title match next week. I'm going to unify the titles there, or at least get one champion. We're going to definitely talk that up. WWE wise, Io Shirai or Io Sky, Dakota Kai are killing it on the main roster. We saw Toxic Attraction get a nice run, and we'll see if they keep going. Just good stuff happening. And, as soon as Greg gets on here, we're going to just hit the ground running with all that good news. And I guess I could kind of throw it out right now that Emma, formerly Emma, Tennille Dashwood, is officially a free agent. She dates Madcap Moss, so I think the writing there is you could probably see her back at WWE sooner rather than later. It'll be curious to see if they'll let her use Tennille as her name or bring her back as Emma. But I definitely think the writing's on the wall that she is headed back. Her and Paige kind of credited for that whole Divas Revolution with the match they had way back on NXT TV. So definitely would like to see her, in a all-out, full-out run, kind of see what she could bring. She's been killing it independently and killed it in Impact, so give her the chance to shine, like I said. Probably as Tennille, I would think, with Triple H in charge, maybe letting people come back with their real name or, close to their real name would be the big thing to do. Other than that, I just very interested to hear Greg's take on what is going on here. This is from the Wrestling Observer newsletter that backstage drama in AEW involving many of the top guys has gotten worse in the recent weeks. So hard to tell. There was rumblings that maybe CM Punk wasn't going to work Wednesday night, but he did. And now we have the unification match, or at least possibly the match. I'll be interested to see if they pull some swerve on that. Especially if it's in the beginning of the night, you got to think it's not going to leave, right away. It's not going to end well, or it's not going to end with the right finish. So it sounds like there's, pretty much a camp of CM Punk, then the camp of Hangman Adam Page. This is probably the period where, AEW is going to swim through some rough waters. It wasn't going to be all butterflies and angel kisses, smooth sailing. I think, egos are going to get in the way, and we'll just kind of see how they handle it. What is this off camera? No, Big Ben. What's John Moxley doing off camera? Hopefully he's not, in any bad way or anything like that. You'll have to get us on the know on that, because I must have missed that bit of news for John Moxley. But hopefully it's nothing, that's going to deter him, or maybe that's the reason why they're rushing this, AEW World Title match, because that's a money match that you could have it all out, and I think the crowd would be behind CM Punk, obviously, but that's your money match, because if you get the title match now out of the way, what is the title match? I guess it would have to be MJF coming back, on Wednesday night and stepping up to the plate. And I think if that's the case, don't you almost have to put the title on him on at All Out? That weekend is going to be so busy for us wrestling fans, as we'll have Saturday, September 3rd, I believe it is. Yeah, will be Clash at the Castle about 1:30 kickoff time here in the States. Um, and then Wednesday or Tuesday, Sunday, we'll have Worlds Collide, which will be kind of NXT UK stuff going at it. And then we'll also have, and I think that's going to be in the middle of the afternoon, which is interesting timing. And then we'll have All Out that evening. And like we said, I'll be interested to kind of see if we're not going to get the world title match between Moxley and Punk there, what are we going to get there? So, what is this? Let's see. The team he was with stirred up drama right after the match ended. They were cussing at him and even threw a chair at him. Oh, awesome. Okay, yes, I did not catch all that drama. So, yeah, interesting. AEW right now, it's very surprising how much the momentum has shifted between AEW and WWE. Speak of being back in town, guess who's back? Back again. Return of the Greg. I was going to play all these comeback songs for you, Greg, but to YouTube being, copyright being, I could not play all the cool back songs that we could have played for you. Back in Black, Boys Are Back in Town, Return of the Mac. I mean, come on. We could have, don't call it a comeback. I mean, this could have been
There we go.
a theme song for you, Greg, but unfortunately, YouTube wants to be, they want to make sure people get their money. So, anyways, look who we're just gonna bring you full screen, Greg. Because look, we have not seen your face in parts unknown for a long time. So glad to have you back. I was just shooting on the drama. Who would have thought, Greg, we'd have AW drama? Have you caught any of this, CM Punk business that has been happening, or should I try to catch you up?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a couple of stories about it, and there's some heat between Punk and Hangman, hence the beginning of Dynamite on Wednesday, where he calls out Hangman and nobody comes out. So that was a little off script there. So you're looking at it like that's a bad look right there, unless
Do you buy
you know.
it that Punk is not necessarily unhappy, but I don't know what, because then he put a big Twitter post about, or a Instagram post about being happy to be back. This is all CM Punk weekend, Greg, because this is when he came back a year ago. So is it all just good timing by AEW to try to make something out of nothing? And like I said, maybe try to steer the ship a little bit in their favor, because let's face it, WWE with Triple H in charge, they've taken away the momentum, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, you figure there's got to be some backstage beef. I mean, AEW has been one big happy family for 3 years, but there's cracks backstage. There's going to be guys who don't like each other, guys who are happy to bring some of that backstage beef out front, and we've been applauding them for it. I mean, go back to Punk versus Eddie Kingston, or the whole Punk and Colt Cabana business, and there's a whole lot of backstage stuff that comes out to the front of the stage. So I'm not surprised at this at all, and it does seem like a pendulum swing with things getting happier in WWE, where that has been like the point of contention for a whole locker room, as opposed to AEW, and now it's just switched sides with Triple H coming into power. So not surprised at all, and if this is true, and it sounds like it is, and I have no reason not to believe it, especially after that promo that Punk did, calling out Hangman, that it looks like some real beef getting out, and Tony Khan's going to have to do some work to, you know, restore law and order before things go crazy.
And even people have talked about Tony Khan, and like we said, when you watch some of his media scrums, I mean, the guy looks like he hasn't slept in days. I mean, you think it's wearing on him being that only voice in the room?
Yeah, I mean, his EVPs are, disappearing. Cody's gone. The Bucks are, doing Bucks things. Kenny's been gone for a long time. So he's probably, doing way too much by himself, or with the skeleton crew of cronies. So, and he looks at when he comes out and, cuts a promo or, does his glad handing after a show. So, he needs to learn to delegate or he's going to end up, with a heart attack, Triple H style.
And he's young. That's the thing. It's like, and I understand at times you need one voice to stand above the rest, but at the same time, you also need other, you need a couple sous chefs, as they say, in the
True.
kitchen. So,
Yep.
And then the other bit of news, Greg. By the way, I'll let you give your thoughts for the last call as a small tease about Triple H. So that will be my last call question. So we can actually have some time to delve on that. But it's all CM Punk in the news at the beginning, Greg, because now we're going to get the World Championship on Wednesday. Is this a hot shot angle, or is this a MJF's going to come out at the end of it?
Yeah, this shocked me as soon as I saw it because figured this is going to be all out. That way you're going to have 3 more weeks of mic work and the standoffs and stuff like that. And now you're giving it to us next week. I mean, why? I mean, this is a pay-per-view match on Dynamite, and this is going to be the biggest Dynamite ever with this match happening. So with them giving it to us right now, something's got to be up. And the biggest thing that now everybody's talking about is MJF. And so I wouldn't put it beyond a non-finish happening. Brawling into the stands or something like that, and the referee counts them out. But even as lawless as AEW seems sometimes, when it comes to big matches, they deliver on big matches as far as giving us a winner, giving us an outcome we can chew on. And so it seems like it'd be a huge cop out if they did something like that. Having MJF come out at the end and waylay the champion, or let's say Punk beats Moxley or Moxley beats Punk, and then MJF pops out and lays out whoever won. And he goes off as the hero of the segment because, everybody, the roof is going to blow off the place if he comes in. And then that sets up All Out. So there's something up. And I think the most likely scenario with this match happening right now is that we get a winner and then MJF is going to come out as the new #1 contender because after all, he is still, has a ridiculous record and, just kind of like mea culpa for, his contract demands. And now as part of his new deal, he gets the first shot at the championship when he gets back.
We almost have to put the title on him at All Out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I don't see any way. I think and that would feel like a hot shot title change, but at the same time, it would probably have to happen. I just think you couldn't if it was if it's as big as pop as it could be, and even if and that's the thing too. Do you have MJF go over Punk in Chicago though with that turn-in, or you just have him go over Moxley? So that would be the curious question. Or you just have triple threat, then that way he could go over, both in a way. But I would think, Greg, you'd have to put the title on MJF if he comes back on Wednesday night. And I also said it depends on where this match is. Do they, give us at the beginning of the night, and maybe it is a clean finish, and then maybe at the end of the night somebody comes out. But it's definitely something that has to happen. I don't because and like we said before, Greg, we didn't know who would be facing Moxley because right now, or right at the moment, there was nobody that was on Moxley's level. that was going to be there. So that's why it's so curious why you're doing it now, and then where are we going to go for it all out? And surprisingly, that they'll do something like this, because usually they let the story play out to the pay per view.
Right.
So something has to be planned for this.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this match. I mean, I wish it was 3 weeks from now, but this could be them giving us something we didn't know we wanted. And um, like I said, it sounds like the return of MJF, and this is going to put MJF in kind of like a Stone Cold Steve Austin role, in the new millennial version of Stone Cold, where he says whatever he thinks, and he's the heel, but people still love it. And with the whole way this whole story is played out with him, as soon as he comes back, the place is going to go bananas, and everybody's going to be in love with him. And it's going to take a couple promos dissing on the crowd and doing his thing to even turn that, if he still can. I mean, at this point, he's gone into that Stone Cold realm where he can be as good or bad as he wants, and people are still going to love him. So um, that's the interesting, piece of the picture that is sitting there, and we're going to be curious to see how it works out. And then you have Moxley and Punk. They're already in that vein anyway, and so the more I think about it, triple threat sounds more interesting because you have three guys who are almost in the peas out of the same pod in a way. You know what I mean?
Yep. And it's going to be definitely something to watch on Wednesday night. So, and that could be the way for AEW to kind of get their name back up in a positive light as well. Because right now it doesn't seem like things, are that positive. And we could get into Dynamite and who we saw come back. I think that's going to be a good way to get things back as well. Well, that was what we had for news-wise. Let's take a quick commercial break and get to some Raw, NXT, and SmackDown talk, and then we'll kick it back into AEW to get them going back on the page. So, yeah, there we go. So let's do a quick Rogue Energy, and then we'll get right into. While we switch things up, Greg, since we're talking about AEW, we'll just go right into that because my last call is all about WWE. So I'll shift some things around, and we'll just go right into AEW talk now. And after our Rogue Energy talk. So we're kind of on that page. We're going to switch things up just for S's and G's, as they say. All right, and we are back. We're going to kind of switch it up on us today just because we've been talking so much AEW. Let's just get into it, Greg. We had CM Punk kicking off Dynamite and firing bomb after bomb after bomb at Moxley. Well, first Hangman. That was the thing, too. It's like we don't really want to see Hangman and CM Punk again. I don't think. We kind of saw it and it was fine for what it was, but I felt like that business is done. So, Colin, let's see, what did he say? Eddie Kingston is even the best Kingston. Moxley is even the best John. He's the best. He's the third best member of his group, which is the running theme. And then Moxley pretty much kissed him, and then we were off on the races. So, because Moxley kissed Effie in a match a couple weekends ago, Greg. So I think that's why everybody was like, oh no, Moxley is, not good anymore, whatever. So that's where we were off on that. obviously a really solid promo. It is one of those things. I think that's you almost had to do the match now because that gives you that feeling of okay, they fired all the bombs they could at each other. We need to see the fight. So in a way, it's probably unique that it's going to be next week. But tell us, Greg, some of the thoughts on the one-liners by Punk.
Yeah, holy cow! Just shots fired all over the place. I mean, it was great. Just and hearing the fans connect the dots when he's talking about you're only the second best Kingston I've been in the ring with. And it takes a minute thinking back. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Kofi. Okay, and then he goes, the third best member of your group, and not the first time. So you think back to the Shield and just all the references that you take a minute to stop and think about it, and then you hear the reaction. Oh, got him again. It almost sounds like if you watch a rap battle and you have this rapper A and his crew, and rapper B and his crew, and while rapper A is going on, his crowd, his crew is going crazy. Like it was the sickest burn ever, and then rapper B will do the same thing, and that's kind of what it was like here, except it was just Punk dropping all these burns, and the crowd listening, then making the connection, and then the big reaction. And we were playing along at home too, during the math, and like, oh, okay, he's talking about this guy. Okay, so brilliant stuff he was doing right there. And then Moxley come out, he's not going to be able to hang on the mic with Punk. Very few guys can, and he just does his tough guy thing. He does his little, you know, cocky
That weird
walk,
walk
and
he's got. Yeah, that swag
right,
thing. I guess it is.
yeah, and then they start to fight. So it was perfect for those two, and loved the whole segment. It was awesome, all the way to the pull apart, and even when Moxley comes back and interrupts Tony Nese's entrance later, and calls Punk back out. It all was, it felt genuine and real. So loved the whole thing.
Brian Danielson picks up a big win over Daniel Garcia, Greg, but tension in the Jazz over there. And I would say it's probably due. I think Garcia, we've said it all along, Garcia makes such a solid choice to be in the Blackpool Combat Club. So I don't know how soon we'll get it, but I do think we got to see it sooner rather than later. Because you had Brian Danielson, go to shake the hand. Jericho didn't like that, uh, and yeah, Jericho leaves, and then Garcia reluctantly follows him eventually. But I think it's coming, Greg. And I think overall Jericho's probably going to slow down anyway. So the sooner the Jericho appreciates society breaks up, probably for the better. But at the same time, you just did add NJ. You have, Ty and Sammy in there. So I think Daniel Garcia being out of it is okay because you do have Sammy as the young gun in there. And you still have, Daddy
Yeah,
Magic and Matt, whatever. I was going to say Matt and Trey because they make me think of Matt and Trey from South Park, the creators of that. But anyway, um, Hager, whatever. So, I think there's still some legs on there, but obviously the bigger story. Now, how does Garcia and Will Yuta, get together in that vein, Greg? That's what should be interesting. Unless that shifts Will Yuta out of there, maybe back with the best friends. I don't know, but should be. I think Garcia makes so much sense for the Blackpool Combat Club, and I'll be curious to see how soon we get that. Really solid match too. I mean, whenever I would have liked to see Garcia pick up the win. He's already got one win over Daniel Bryan or for Brian Danielson, so he can only hold that in his utility belt. But what another win would have done for him. So slowly though, he's getting a character. He's moving things along. Greg, obviously, we know he can work the ring, and he's only 23, which is the scariest thing. That is one thing I do think AW's got the edge with their younger. They got some real young talent. WWE wise, it's the women that are younger, Greg, and there's some young guys in there, but AEW, MGF's 25. I would think Willer Yuta's probably not that old, maybe under 30. So, and then you got, now you got Daniel Garcia. So, um, yeah, Jungle Boy 25. I mean,
Yeah,
Darby Allin. So,
MJF.
MJF. So they've got that edge there. But what about the match between the two? And what do you think about Garcia in the Blackpool Combat Club?
Yeah, hands down, best match of the week,
Yeah.
and I love the main event on this card too. So, but still, best match of the week between Bryanson or Danielson and Garcia. Garcia, he's got to be a member. When Danielson was talking to Moxley about forming the BCC and all the young guys that they could bring into it, Garcia was one of the first guys they mentioned, and I think it's like I said, it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and just the fact that now the score is 1-1, it lends itself to a tiebreaker, and I think we're going to end up seeing a third match because these first two matches have been so awesome.
Yeah.
Both of these guys have put the other to sleep. These have been brutal matches, but amazing matches. So, who wouldn't want another one? So I think we're going to get a third match, and that probably at the end of that third match is where we're going to get the full
All,
turn. And he
that,
comes in.
All Out? Do we get the third match at All Out?
That would make the most sense. Absolutely. I mean, you need a bigger stage and all the eyeballs on it when it happens. And they've done a great enough job building it up. And with these two epic matches already, and we're going to be chomping for another one. And this is the best platform to put it on.
And maybe Jericho puts a stipulation: you win, you're staying with us. You lose, you're out of Jericho's appreciation, appreciation society. So, I think that's where that should go. The Gun Club defeated Varsity Blondes, and they took out their daddy ass. But then the Acclaim came to save for daddy ass. That's all I got,
Yeah.
Greg. Anyway,
Yeah.
I mean, the Gun Club probably needs to get off, and do some of them on their own anyway, without, the Acclaim, without Billy Gunn. So we'll see what they could truly do now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun little, undercard thing to happen, get some exposure for the Gun Club. I mean, I'm still not a big fan of theirs, but they've been decent. So,
Yeah.
you're cultivating your young talent. Nothing wrong with that. And so you put them
and
on,
that's another two guys that are, I think they're under 25.
right. So they could be something with some more seasoning and some
Yeah.
more character work, stuff like that. So, you know, they're just green right now, green as
Yeah.
grass. But you got to get your reps in somewhere, and this is as good a spot as any. So I didn't hate it. I don't love it. So
But I just didn't love the Acclaim making a save after they get turned on by Billy Gunn, essentially. It's like, okay. Like, you were just, he was the one who told us, he kind of made the call to the Suns to beat up them just what, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? And now
right.
they're making a save on him. So I don't know, it seems kind of, because we better not go right back and have, Billy Gunn, like, have his kids take him out again for a second time. I mean, that, how many times did you just keep going back to that? So, how about Jungle Boy and Christian Cage? There was, we're finally getting some Jungle Boy personality, Greg.
Yeah, I like it. See him, cut a man-sized promo, just not happy-go-lucky, but some fire in his voice, and that little glare in his eyes, and he's feeling himself a little bit. So that's the part of Jungle Boy we have not seen yet. Aside from like this last week or two of promos, and I like it. When he puts some anger in his voice, he sounds good. And now it's going to come out to the match and not just doing flippy cute moves, but going and trying to beat down Christian Cage for what he did and say it about his peeps, about his family. So um, I'm excited to see how the match is going to work out. But the whole segment with him cutting this meme promo, I'm all for it.
Even if we did move the needle too quickly on Luchasaurus, I really love to see what they could have done with Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. I think they really gave up too quick on that, because who knows where that could went. Maybe you could have had Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus at All Out, and then Christian Cage down the road. But it is what it is at that rate. Tony Storm defeated Kylan King. Are we getting Storm and Thunder Rosa maybe one-on-one again at All Out, Greg? Because I'm really not sure who's next for Thunder Rosa at All Out, but we obviously need somebody for her.
No, it is Tony Storm. That's going to be the match at All Out. So that's official. Thunderstorm is not a thing for the foreseeable future, and Tony's got the next title shot.
Yeah. Does Tony take the title off her?
First thought is no, but if you want to, give some love to Tony and give us some shine to somebody else in the women's division. Thunder Rosa's a made woman now, so
yeah,
she's helping raise the level of everybody else. So I can see Tony Storm winning, and it would only be a small surprise at this point. So I don't see anything wrong with Tony Storm winning. Do I think she'll win? No, but I can picture it happening.
I mean, ultimately, it's all coming to Jade. I mean, that's why like we said, like I've said, I think by Double or Nothing, Jade is the champion, or at Double or Nothing next year. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Right.
So, and then finally, in the not so surprising but surprising return, if you've been watching BTE or catching little glimpses here and there, it was definitely due that Kenny. It would have been awesome to see Hangman Adam Page in that third person for the Elite, and you still wonder that they're playing up the fact that Kenny is, technically working hurt. He had the black compression shirt on. He had he had the knee brace on or something, like he was working very slow, and methodical, and the knee was buckling at times and all that. So be curious to see if maybe Hangman slides in there if they win down the road. But I guess that's the thing too, Greg. Who is your pick for the Trios Championship right now?
Well, I know who I want to win it, but I don't think they're going to.
Who do you want to win?
I want Death Triangle to win.
Okay, Death Triangle.
Love Death Triangle. They deserve, the trios belts. They're just amazing together, and we've seen what Penta and Ray can do as tag team champions, so it just fits. So that's who I want to win. That's not who I think is going to win.
The Elite.
It's going to come down to the Elite versus the
Undisputed.
Adam Cole and Red Dragon.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a banger of a match. I'd still rather see my guys in there, but I think that's what the storyline is leaning towards.
Yeah.
So,
well, my dark horse was the Best Friends. I'm like, they're finally due for something, right? I mean, at least Death Triangle, Greg, you have Pac with the All Atlantic title, so he can have that. But I think the Best Friends just go out and do their thing. They've put on bangers of matches at times, especially during the pandemic. And,
true.
Orange Cassidy was so over and then got hurt and kind of, unfortunately had to reset. But I feel like the Best Friends would be an awesome, dark horse champion, even if it is a short title run. But yeah, there's no doubt this is the Elite. And then it's going to be, I guess they're just going by Undisputed. I don't know what they're calling themselves, but yeah, there's no doubt it's, and then like I said, do you maybe have Hangman slide in there somehow if Kenny can't, maybe Kenny's out the last match. And, it's a 4-person, they're a quadrant or something, I don't know, but there's no doubt Hangman is going to be back with the Elite somehow. And with Omega back, I think Kenny Omega being back as well, Greg, behind the scenes, I think that has to help stuff, help help out, right? I mean, especially with the women's division, because I think he was kind of making that his baby, and hopefully that could finally get going. So, maybe Omega is another voice back there that could kind of relieve some of the pressure off Tony Khan.
Maybe. I'm curious to see how it's going to work out because the women's division is kind of languished for a while. We haven't seen Britt Baker in a little bit. Um,
Yep.
Thunder Rosa is all been all the Thunder Rosa show pretty much. Um, and it's been, when's the last time we saw Nyla Rose? I see that Penelope Ford's about to come back. So, that's a little um, injection of talent that we all know about. But when's the last time you saw Sheeta? Um, we know Kenny loves the girls from Japan, so we may see Rio come back. We may see Emi Sakura and um, the the bouncing pixie girl. I forgot what her name
Oh,
is right now.
Maki Oda, the middle finger girl.
Yeah, the magical girl.
Yeah, I
What
think
was her
it's
name?
Maki.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Emmy
So
Sakura is like the Freddie Mercury type. She always comes out,
right,
or at least she was. And then, yeah, that
but
that's. I'll be curious because, like you said, I'm very surprised that Sheeta, for all that she did, especially like talk about the pandemic champion. I mean, that was her
yeah,
role, and then just to kind of get put by the wayside. Who knows? Maybe it's visa issues, or maybe it's issues traveling back and forth. But yeah, kind of surprising not to see her. And speaking of Penelope Ford, she was on Friday Night Rampage, Greg. She lost to Athena, but the big story there was where Athena's wings got smashed by Jade. What a sad story, Greg.
okay. Rampage was the one show I didn't get to see this week, so
Well, here's our
that's why I
winner.
missed that part.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Rampage has become the best friends show, Greg, because I feel like every Rampage somehow they're in the main event. So they picked up a win. Buddy Matthews is back on TV. We haven't seen Buddy Matthews for a while. He was back, and then Miro came out to throw down Malachi Black's mask to try to throw that away. Even though I think Miro in the House of Black is probably the better storyline.
Yeah.
But whatever. It could still go that way. Swerve in Our Glory picked up win. That's the thing too, Greg. Who do you think is next for Swerve in Our Glory for All Out? Because I have no idea. Like who should face up for the tag team championship?
Well, with the Bucks tied up into the into the trios matches, FTR's not doing anything. Yeah, they're not busy right now. Whoever's losing in the quarterfinal round, you may be able to throw them in there. Um, like I said, if my guys, the Death Triangle, don't get in, I'd love to see Penta and Phoenix get in there with them. And then the House of Black guys, save for them. If they don't advance, they would be deserving of a title shot. So any of those teams would be awesome.
Hook picked up a win over some guy. I don't know his name. I think it's James Clayton. But I know you haven't got to talk on it, Greg. How about Hook, the new FTW champion and Team Taz? How do you think Ricky Starks is going to fare as a face?
The people seem to be behind him, and I know he was a big
That's
star
another young guy
on the Indies.
Under 20. I think he's under 25.
Right. I mean, and I know he was a big deal on the Indies.
Yeah.
So people still seem to be really into him. So I think he should do fine. He still needs to add more to his character, add some more promos to get himself over. But he's got potential. I don't love the guy yet, but I can see where there's something there. So I'm going to see more out of him. Have some more bangers of some matches, and you got something. So he's already got a step in the right direction with the crowd support and everything. And that promo he did before Hobbs turned on him, did wonders for him, I think. So
And that's why I hope Hobbs can do something too. I think Team Taz breaking up is probably the best thing for all three of these guys. Because now you give each person a chance
absolutely.
to shine. We'll get probably Ricky and Powerhouse Hobbs at All Out. Maybe on the buy-in card. I don't think we'll see it on the main card. If it's on the main card, Greg, I'm not going to complain, but it doesn't feel like a main card match. I know that probably sounds bad to them, but sometimes that's just the way it is. I mean, if you've got enough money matches, that's just the way it goes. But
and I'm loving the slow burn with Hook, with him getting the FTW belt.
Yeah.
So it's not a belt, but as far as official, type of thing. But the caveat that's in there that every week is going to be an open challenge. If that's a real thing, let's go, because
then you could throw some independent people that we might not know, like Cody had for the open challenge.
Exactly, and that's more exposure for Hook. Hook is already a maker over already, but the whole less is more. With when he speaks, he only says a couple words, if that, and he lets his wrestling do the talking for him.
Yep.
It's a slow burn up to bigger things, and I think next year it's going to be the year of Hook. But the way they bring it along real slow, and we give him no belt, but
another young guy we forgot to mention.
Exactly.
So,
and he has a belt, but not a official AEW recognized belt. But he gets come to the ring with a strap on his shoulder, so gives him more street cred, more cachet with the fans. If you're watching AEW for the first time, you see Hook come out with a belt, you're like, okay, this guy's important. So that's the whole point.
Maybe he could be the one that retires it too somehow. Like maybe he's going to go for the TNT title, so he gives it back to his dad, and moves up somehow or something.
Right.
Yeah. Was there anything that I might have missed? I know FTR's been killing it. I mean Wardlow killing. What about Wardlow? We haven't really seen. I wonder who's next. We haven't really seen who's next for Wardlow. Hopefully he defends it at All Out, the TNT title. Darby and Brody King.
He's had the thing with Jay Lethal, I think.
That's right, yeah. Maybe Samoa Joe needs to go back and still work on Twisted Metal. He's go film some more for that.
We didn't get to talk on some of the big pay-per-views that are going on. We missed the Death Before Dishonor.
Yeah.
Some crazy matches that were on that card. The big one was FTW and the Briscoe brothers.
Yeah.
And give me some Briscoe brothers. Just put it right in my veins. I didn't even know I loved those guys until I saw them for the first time in GCW. And those guys are just electric. I mean, they are what every tag team should aspire to be. They're amazing. And that match with FTR was, it was definitely a 7-star match. And, I wish they had won the championships and beat them, because this was a rematch that FTR won the first one. So I wish it had been, the Briscoes winning this one, because every time I've seen them watch them, they seem to lose the match. But, they're putting on epic matches. So, I don't want to stop watching, though. The Briscoes are awesome.
I would think the next pay-per-view for Ring of Honor, I think that would be to put the titles back on the Briscoe brothers.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I don't know. We'll
FTR has about 5 sets of championship belts.
Yeah, I think they got enough gold. It's got to be tiresome hearing it all through, airports.
Through the airports.
Yeah, that's probably that's definitely not carry on luggage. So I don't know. It might be carry on just so they know where it's at actually. But yeah. So good, but like I said, I think it's interesting how WWE, just with not with just Vince McMahon out of power, but with a kind of a reset button, it feels like, and that's why this momentum has shifted. Even though it's still kind of the same feuds and whatnot, it just feels fresher with Triple H's vision of where things should go. But I think all out. It will be that Labor Day weekend, Greg. That's what's going to be interesting to see. Does AW maybe get some momentum back with the good all out? I mean, WWE, like I said, they'll probably have all the momentum because you have the Clash at the Castle on Saturday. Then you're going to have Worlds Collide, which is going to kind of be NXT UK and NXT because I don't know if you saw, it sounds like they dissolved NXT UK because they let go of quite a bit of British wrestlers and women. And then they also, we saw Gala show up. Wednesday night, we saw Tyler Bate show up. I'll be curious to date. Dragunov somehow, he got injured, Greg. I don't know where he got injured, but he had to relinquish the UK Championship. So I hope he gets a shot on NXT because he's too good. He's like a Bryan Danielson. He's like a Daniel Garcia. I mean, he's got that pit bull in him. And I'll be curious to see if they give him a shot on that. But then somebody like Trent Seven was actually cut, who's running boys with Tyler Bate. And who was he there? Oh, and Pete Dunne. They were, Mustache Mountain for a little bit, but maybe he just wants to, maybe he's older too, so maybe he is kind of, just wants to do indie stuff or, take it back and maybe come back later. But yeah, interesting to see the UK kind of dissolve and, it was a good run for them, but we'll kind of see where these British wrestlers show up on NXT TV. Anyway, so let's get into WWE talk right after this commercial break, and we'll get into Raw and SmackDown and Heat Wave, which was a nice little change of pace, I thought, from the usual NXT 2.0. All right, so let's go through some Raw stuff, Greg. The bit, Judgment Day still feuding with the Mysterios, but we're going to get Edge back in Toronto. So does Damian Priest take out Edge there, Greg, or does Edge pick up the win? And then I'm going to assume we get Edge and Finn Balor at Clash at the Castle.
Well, we know how guys do when they come back to their hometowns, especially on Raw. So,
But
I think Edge wins and then takes the beat down,
yeah,
and that sets up the match with Finn.
Yeah. Do we get Demon Finn at Clash at the Castle?
No, I don't see it.
Okay.
I think Demon comes out when Finn's a face. It would be interesting to see it come out when he's a heel, but I don't see it coming out at this point.
Alexa Bliss and Asuka picked up a win to advance in the women's tag team tournament, Greg. I know we haven't talked about this, but this whole tag team tournament means Sasha and Naomi are back at some point, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Whoever wins, then Sasha's music's playing, and guess who's coming to dinner. So I think that's the whole setup. Once they get through all this, they're going to be waiting on the other end.
I would assume it's Bayley's team and maybe Toxic Attraction in the finals. Is that where you're seeing things, or do you see somebody else in those finals?
No, it sounds right. Toxic Attraction, getting the exposure for NXT 2.0 and, Bayley's new group. So, and going against either one of them going to be good heel foils for Sasha and Naomi. So it's a perfect setup.
And of course, you could play it up if maybe Bayley's trying to get JC, Jane, and Gigi to join our group. That sets up Mandy Rose to come up to the main roster. Because I feel like all three of them are probably due. Now, I don't know who beats Mandy Rose because, we're still trying to figure out that. But I think Mandy could probably do double duty for a little bit, and kind of let that go back and forth. Especially if Survivor Series. I mean, doesn't this year have to include NXT, Greg, with Triple H kind of leading the charge, or do you think you'd rather just have
Yeah,
NXT?
yeah. I think with Triple H in charge, he's definitely going to get NXT more love and um, some more eyes from the main roster.
Yeah.
So definitely going to be involved in Survivor Series. And I think transitioning Mandy is going to be as easy as putting her in the ring with Nikita Lyons. And there's your new champ. And Mandy goes back to the main roster. So I don't think she's going to need to do much double duty because the successor is already sitting there in the wings ready to go.
Well, Nikita would have been in Canada, Greg, but she wasn't vaccinated, so unfortunately, that's why they had to pull her off. Which you think you would have thought about that ahead of time, but whatever.
Right.
How about I actually like the team of Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. I didn't think they'd win, of course, Greg, but hopefully give them something. The Miz and Ciampa deal is still pretty hot, but I like Ali and Alexander as a team, even kind of matching. So they've already got the team gear together. I like to see them get a nice run. Maybe pick up wins on main events, even though we won't hear about it. And then maybe get wins here and there on Raw to kind of find themselves slowly moving up the tag team ranks. But and then what? I guess are we getting Logan Paul, or we're probably not going to get Logan Paul and Miz at Clash at the Castle? I'm going to assume I don't know when. Maybe Extreme Rules.
Hmm. Sounds like as good as place as any. You know, get the young guys some love, and
Yeah,
it's as good a spot as any. So I don't see why not.
yeah. Do you like the teaming of Aubrey and Cedric Alexander or something?
No, I'll keep an open mind to it. I mean, the match was good,
Yeah,
and work on their tandem offense, stuff like that. It could end up being really good. They're both super athletic, and they're both very underutilized. And I think
yeah.
when they did the little backstage segment, that's kind of what they were talking about, trying to gas each other up. So it could be something. It could turn out to be something if they play it right. So I'm keeping
And
an open mind to it.
pretty good friends outside the ring, which always helps build up that chemistry.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre defeated Kevin Owens by DQ. Greg, I've said it before. I think we're getting Owens and Sami Zayn reunited somehow. Especially if you listen to the promo where Roman on SmackDown was like, "Hey, tell Kevin Owens." So I really want to see Owens and Sami Zayn on the same page together again as a tag
I don't know. Kevin is doing such an awesome job, bringing back the prize fighter, and
team. Yeah,
that match with Drew was a banger until, that finish.
yeah.
So, but I did like the finish because, nobody loses. They both go over strong, and KO looks more serious, more uh, like old KO, and that's a good thing. So I'm loving him as a singles.
Yeah.
So, and I'm same thing. I'm loving Sammy doing his thing as a single
But
because
Sami's going to get manipulated by. I mean, we're like people brought up. It's now back to manipulative Roman, especially with that promo.
yeah,
Backstage. I mean, he's going to get beat down soon, and somebody's got to come to his rescue. So I can't think of a better guy, than Kevin Owens to do it. But and just like Owens and Sami Zayn against the Usos, I think that'd be
ooh,
bigger. So
I
I
agree
think
with that.
I think we got something there, honestly. But like you said, I also love Kevin Owens having some meaning
Hmm.
behind himself. Looking like he's refreshed and whatnot. Riddle and Seth Rollins are going to go at it at Clash at the Castle. Is this going to be Riddle's big win against Seth
Yep,
at Clash?
yep. I think this is it. I mean, every time he's been in there, he's taken the L. He's gotten beat down. He's getting put on the shelf, and this is the come up. So Riddle's going to come out, and I'm loving it, making him more serious. I mean, he's still, the bro, but he's got some more, venom in his veins,
Yeah.
pun intended. From
Hear voices
those.
in his head.
Hey, if you listen to
Did they talk to
Saxon,
him?
that's what he thinks. But yeah, I like it. He's coming off more intense. He's coming off stronger, and people are down with him. So yeah, I think this is it. This is where he gets over and gets that win on Seth and gets a big moment in front of however many 50, 60,000 people in
We'll see if the
in a
Europeans are
stadium.
bros too, won't we? We'll see if they do the bro chant with
Well, I'm sure they will. They have to.
him. So, um, Veer Mahan, don't you love how WWE put this on their website, Greg? Veer Mahan feasted on Bo Keller. Veer Mahan's another guy. They don't know what the hell to do with him, do they?
Yeah, that was a Vince McMahon creation, and
Do we just put it with Omos and let MVP somehow savage him? I don't
it's
know
not
what
a
else.
bad idea for the sense that he doesn't
I
do a
mean, you
great
would
job
think they'd be
speaking for himself,
unstoppable as tag team though, so that kind of
right?
ruins
But
that. But I feel like Omos and Veer are just in this. They're just going to show up random. They're going to show up and do stuff, but they don't know what there's no picture for it.
they'd be better fighting each other.
Yeah, we could. I mean, we
Um,
could do that too.
Clash of the Titans, you could build it correctly and you know give them some heat with each other and just have some brutal slugfest between these two. So
That's fun.
I don't see why that wouldn't
And
gather some interest if you do it right.
yeah. How about Lashley? I mean, really carrying this U.S. title just to a few title defenses. I mean, banger of a match with AJ Styles. What was it? The Miz last week in the no DQ match. Was that it or no? Was it no Champa? Sorry, Champa.
Champa,
He
yeah.
fought Champa. Um, I, AJ Styles is another guy, Greg, though, that just maybe with Triple H in the helm, maybe AJ will get some direction, but AJ just kind of is there too, isn't he, right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's helping, raise up the other guys, the younger guys, and as much as better as it's become, Triple H still has a lot of webbing to untangle.
Yeah.
With the storylines that Vince left and the people he left in certain programs. So it's going to take a while to detach AJ from the hot mess with Champa and The Miz and Logan Paul and all these characters who don't fit and get him to where he needs to be. So um, there's still some work to be done there, but this is a good start. Giving AJ a high profile title shot. You start to create that separation. Then the same thing with Champa, and it's still going to take another some more time to get all the knots out of the program and make it something that we can all digest. So
And plus,
I think that's all that is.
AJ's probably on the downslide of it, not in the ring, but overall, Greg, I would imagine the time is coming for AJ. Uh, next year I would think would be the end of his contract ish. I can't imagine it being much longer after that. So, um, Hall of Famer AJ Styles. Are we going to say that in a few years? I
We'll see
mean,
what happens in the next few
if
years because
Coco B. Ware's in there, right? That's always been my Mendoza line. I mean, the
true,
Great
but
Khali's in there, Greg. So I mean, AJ obviously has had a better. And to think that even if AJ went to WWE and never won anything big, you almost feel like they would have just thrown him in the Hall of Fame just for making the run there. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I get it, and he should go into the Hall of Fame just off the boneyard match alone. So,
yeah.
um,
You know what somebody brought
but
up too? Should Edge get a second induction for like the second, almost a second run in his career? and we've never done anything like that. But in a way, for Edge's like encore career, Greg, I mean, I can actually kind of get with that because it's almost been two different careers. So I don't think it happens. I think Edge would be like, no, I'm not doing that. But in a way, it's almost funny to think like Edge almost deserves, that because now that he's got to wrestle, he's probably and even he's starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. He said so. Like in a way, him going in again would be like a cap to all of it. But I thought that was an interesting point I've seen brought up on Twitter, Greg. Like we've never done a second induction. We've done um, maybe if you're in a group and then you're singles, but I'm like Edge is probably Edge is probably the best candidate for that. Who would have thought your career was done and now you're back and killing it.
I don't know, because if you use that logic, you could end up the Undertaker like 3 times.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, American Badass Undertaker, the original Undertaker, the Dead Man with Paul Bearer, and then post Paul
But then
Bearer.
again, the Undertaker never had to go away for 9 years or 10. Was it 9 or 10 years, right?
True.
So that's the only reason why I give it. All right, Daniel Bryan, like coming back and looking as good as ever. So, Dakota Kai defeated Dana Brooke. What are your thoughts on? I guess possibly going to be called Damage Control is the name of the group at some point. We've heard the control phrase a couple times. At least I've seen that on their on Bailey's Twitter feed, Greg. But one of Triple H's best moves, right? Getting Dakota Kai, Bailey, and Io Sky, Io Sky, whatever we want to call her, Io Shirai, together as a group, right?
It's Damage Control.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, that's
I
what
don't
Triple
hate
H,
it.
that's what Triple H is doing essentially, right? So I mean, and
Right.
that was if you got to think at SummerSlam, who were the first three faces we see, kind of after the first match. So I could get into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful that we get to see Dakota and Io on the main roster now, because we've been saying for a long time that they needed to be there
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yep.
And it took Vince McMahon disappearing, or leaving rather, for it to happen. So, um, yeah, it's been long overdue, and we can trust Triple H to do the right thing with them. So,
And then finally, Theory. He's been gone for a couple weeks. Um, defeats Dolph Ziggler just like that. So yeah. Any thoughts on that, Greg? That was our main event. Theory and Dolph Ziggler in a main event match on Raw. So maybe Triple H isn't all gun ho yet. Maybe Vince is still in the ear. Vince is like the guilty conscience on his shoulder. Because Theory in the main event, Greg, I don't know. I didn't really buy it.
I know I liked it.
Did you?
This is still a way to show he's strong in the post Vince McMahon era,
But he's
and
losing that briefcase. I mean, right?
we'll see. I mean, I don't know. He's more fun with the briefcase in his hand and
Yeah.
poking at everybody. Um, the guy is uber talented,
Yeah.
and it's a chance to highlight one of the under 25 talents we've been talking about,
Yeah.
um, and give him that top spot and see if he can deliver. And this was an excellent match. And I usually don't like Dolph Ziggler matches. Uh, this match told a good story. They gave it plenty of time to breathe, and it had a good finish to it.
Mhm.
And so um, I thought it was a really good match as far as like the top 5 matches that I saw this week. That was in the top 3, I would say.
Yeah.
I thought it was that good. So, and you still get you got to leave Theory with his credibility, and beating the vet and getting tested and all that thing. That's what it's all about. You're making a new star, and Theory has it.
Yeah.
He just needs that that recognizability with the universe, and um, recording more of those bangers so that he gets that respect that he deserves.
How about Heat Wave? Kind of harkening back to ECW days and uh, Paul Heyman with, oh my goodness, a fantastic intro to this break. This felt like an old school NXT kind of event with the new coat of paint, as it were. I mean, I thought everybody really delivered. I thought, things were moving, and in that first match, how about Giovanni Vinci, Greg, showing us some different stuff? We've only seen him as Fabian and Imperium, and just really striking. But that coming off the top rope a few times and really showing some different skill set that we haven't seen yet. Obviously, Carmelo Hayes is money, and this time next year, Greg, we're probably talking main roster wise, like killing it. But
Yeah,
still a banger of a match. And like I said, Paul Heyman doing that intro, I mean, that was just awesome to hear. Really selling, when Paul Heyman is used, obviously, just about any capacity, other than Ryback, he's money. So
true. And to be totally honest, for the last month, I've been off the reservation with NXT 2.0, just because the everything was like kind of flat, the storylines and the wrestling. But once Triple H came into power, because NXT was his baby, and I was like, okay, this is reason to tune back in. So this was a good point to restart, because I don't think I've watched NXT for like 3 weeks,
yeah.
rolling up to Heat Wave, and so this would be like the second or third show since Triple H took over, and I figured this was a good jump off point to see what's going on, catch up on everything that's happened in the last month, and I agree that using Heyman is always a good move, because Heyman gets you fired up, he gets you invested, and he's the last person you figure is that rah guy that gets you ready to run through the wall, but he can do it whenever he wants to. So it got you, it got me, and I hope they do more with him in NXT, because they could use him down there. And
Uh,
in this match, like you said,
sorry, yeah.
straight up banger, and it did have some black and gold feel to it. So I think I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that this is a sign of things to come. And um, you figure Triple H has to look at 2.0 and go, what in the world did they do to my baby? And so much work to do here, even more so than the main roster. But it's like buying a house and renting it out, and the tenants, when they leave, just destroyed the place, and you're like, what is this? What happened here? And then it takes all this work to gut it and put it back to the way it was, so you can be proud of it again. So I think that's the work Triple H is going to have to do with NXT, seeing what's in there and what he has to do, and just the hot mess that's been left behind for him. So, but this was, a good relaunch, as far as a big, one of the theme shows, and a launch point for the next, um, the interim between theme shows.
Yeah.
So
And we'd even
yeah,
bring up Greg Dexter. Loomis is back as a stalker in a way, getting arrested. Um, and he showed up
yeah, on
with his
SmackDown.
with his drawing for Indy. I would assume Indy Hartwell is probably going to be on the main roster soon, uh, after her little feud with Blair Davenport, who is an NXT UK wrestler, Greg. So we saw that little promo. Gallus Boys attack Diamond Mine. We're about ready to see Diamond Mine implode, Greg, but it's coming. It's still coming. And I'll be interested to see. And then of course Gallus wants to go after the NXT UK titles. I would assume, Greg, we're going to get UK NXT titles unified there, like tag team championships at least. I don't know if I want to. I guess if the NXT UK is going to be broken apart, it probably makes sense to unite all the titles, and then we'll just have one NXT brand. That's probably where we're going, especially with the end of the night. But how about the Diamond Mine? Did you like Julius's promo? Did he seemed pretty comfortable in it?
Mm-hmm.
And trying to call out Roderick Strong. So
Yeah, I like him being a voice, and when he uses his voice and instead of just being a smile and nod guy, the guy has some talent, to, cutting these promos. So the cracks have been forming for a while, and you know uh, this is where the explosion is going to happen sooner than later. I think Roderick's going to end up on AEW in a certain group, and yeah, we're going to have the Diamond Mine reimagined, maybe with a different name, or just with under different or new management as
maybe Damon takes over the head.
right, or it could be. I mean, it's it's a bunch of young guys with no vet, so maybe they bring a vet in to just kind of be the figurehead of the group. But
Johnny
um,
Wrestling.
I don't I don't hate it.
I mean, he is like a Roderick
Uh,
Strong type when he wants to be. Like he can go either heel or face. So, um,
right,
and I mean, he's Johnny Wrestling, Greg. So why not, right? I mean, I'd still
exactly.
like to see Gargano get some main roster run, but maybe at least bring them back on NXT for a little bit to help Diamond Mine, and then I mean, I still think, or maybe Ivy just kind of takes that leadership role. I think she could use something more, Greg.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
think that would be cool. Have a woman be the head of the group. Absolutely. So
and because they all kind of operate on their own anyway, if you think about it. So I don't know if that's what we needed. But how about Cora Jade? Did she finally win you over with this match, Greg? Because I thought she's finally showing us something with the heel turn. I figured she'd win this first match. Roxanne is going to win the war, Greg, but I thought Cora Jade needed to win this first match, kind of build her name.
yeah, I agree. You need some credibility, and if the baby goes over on you, right out the box, then you're just kind of going to be looked down on, kind of as okay, she can't hang. So I agree. It was a good move to have her get win the first battle in the war,
Yeah.
because now we want to see the rematch and you know get some sympathy on the baby face even more. So yeah, good idea. And now there's logic behind putting together a rematch.
And if there was any semblance of old NXT, Greg, it was Santos Escobar entrance. That was, that really brought you like back. And happy trails on NXT. It is off to the main roster for Escobar. I don't know when Legado falls in, Greg. Maybe he gets beat down and Legado comes in for the save. But there is no doubt Escobar is on the main roster sooner rather than later after this match with Tony D'Angelo. So, maybe Legado just says we're out, and they just show up with him because I feel like they all need to show up together. I think that's the best
Hmm.
use of them right now. And then you
Yeah.
can let Escobar. I mean, he's going to be it, Greg, because he could talk. That's always sometimes Hispanic wrestlers. That's always their tough thing. Like I thought that kind of hurt Andrade at times. Yes,
Hmm.
he could talk, but also it seems like it hampered him at times. Or Del Rio, at times, Greg. But Escobar feels pretty legit with all of his, mannerisms and everything. So it'll be awesome to kind of see if Escobar gets a main event or sorry, a Mania entrance like he did at NXT 2.0 Heatwave, because that was just, that showed a star in the making.
Yeah, I mean, the timing's perfect, especially what's going on, and we've been talking about it for a while. With this would be a perfect place for Dominic,
Mhm.
and you can play it up where he's seen the light and joining Judgment Day, and then big swerve,
Yeah, enjoy.
Legato and Santos come out, lay out Judgment Day, and this is my familia right here,
Mhm.
and it would be a perfect, instead of them getting the upper hand and the control of Dominic, that he flips it and
Yeah.
um, comes out as kind of as a boss or a mastermind in his own right,
Yep.
by orchestrating something like this, and it makes more sense with Latino a Latino faction instead of him standing in the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
So this would be a great entrance point for Dominic and Legato, and now you have a ready-made um, rivalry um, to start with, and no, I think it would be great. So
And Mandy Rose keeps picking up great wins, and I think she's. I was trying to look up how long she's held the title. I think it's at 300 days now, which is pretty crazy to think, or just at 300 days. Yeah, it says October 26th was the last time or when she won it, Greg. Right now, she is sixth overall. She's just behind Io Shirai at 304. Paige held it for 308. So Mandy Rose could easily be in that top three of longest reigning women's championship. And like we said, who would have told me 2 years ago, Greg, that Mandy Rose would be this good?
yeah,
I think she's ready back for the main roster with Toxic Attraction. What about yourself?
yeah, they look great on the main roster, all three of them. Um, a good finals is going to do them a world of good, even if they lose. And yeah, this has definitely been the reinvention of Mandy Rose. With her and Toxic, they're going to be a great extra added feature. And now, you have another team that Sasha and Naomi can go up against that is legit and not just two random women thrown together. You have a legit team um, for them to go up against, which I think was their big gripe, is that we're the champions, but where's our competition? You throwing these randoms together and calling it a match or calling it something important means nothing. So you need that star power up there to make it legit and give it the shine that it deserves.
Then Braun Breaker picks up a huge win. Another guy, Greg Mann, in a year or so on the main roster. I'll be really curious to see where he's standing, because he's slow, slowly but surely he's shown he's ready. Where does JD go from here, though, Greg? Because you lose your NXT title match right off the bat. I mean, it's kind of hard to see where you go, right? And then we did see the return or the debut or emergence of Tyler Bate, the NXT UK champion, which, like I said, will be Worlds Collide. We've seen this before on NXT. I forget when, maybe a couple years ago, a few years back, but
Hmm.
looks like we're really going to get the NXT versus NXT UK style matches there for that on Sunday, September 4th. I'm here maybe in the middle, like 4 p.m. ish, Greg. That could be done right before All Out. So maybe good timing there in a way. But where does JD go from here?
Well, he has some time to work his way back up, or he can go after the North American title.
Yeah.
Um, he's still a heel, so they're heel versus heel. Who do you invest in? Um, you know, at the same time, people love Carmelo because
Yeah.
Carmelo is that good. So you could swing him to straight babyface, or you can leave him the way he is, and he's still going to get the lion's share of the cheers going up against JD. So, um, and you can also work it where JD, finds a way to get the win, and then you have a back and forth with him. So, all hope's not lost for him yet. He's can still find some people to pick on, stack up some wins, and chase another championship. Um, he's not ready for main roster yet. There's not really anywhere to put him.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's what I was gonna say. It doesn't feel like he fit there. So
yeah, but he can have a great spot on the UK card, and I agree. It's a great time for it to happen now that Vince is gone and Triple H is knows more about it and is more invested into it. So we're gonna get amazing worlds collide, I'm sure,
yeah.
with him in charge and not having to go through the Vince funnel. So I'm excited to see it.
Because like we've said before, I think Clash at the Castle that weekend is really Triple H's. You know, Triple H had Paul Prince over SummerSlam, but this is going to be his whole vision. For Clash
Yeah.
at the Castle. So, oh, we're also going to see the debut of Grayson Waller Effect, the TV show, or like a live mic show, Greg. So kind of see what Grayson Waller can do. If he can kind of get back where he was next week, with Paul Cruz being the first guest there.
That's what we need in another talk show.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I guess we don't really have it on NXT though, right? I mean, we did have Lash. Wasn't Lash Legend doing it a little bit?
Yeah.
But yeah. So, how about this? What in the world are we doing with Ronda Rousey? Because I have no clue. I mean, are they trying
Yeah.
to do a Stone Cold deal with her? Because it's going over like a lead balloon.
It looks like it. I think they're slowly pivoting her back into a heel role.
And maybe her and
And
Shayna teaming up somehow.
yeah, that's what needs to happen. You talk about putting together legit tag teams.
Yeah,
Shayna and Ronda would be at the top of the list
yeah,
once Sasha and Naomi come back.
yeah.
Um, Ronda and Shayna, yeah, do that. As heels, absolutely do that. They have the history going all the way back to MMA, and they've already had the back and forth with Ronda calling out Shayna for not being the killer that she used to be.
Mhm.
So those two banding together, running together, and just wrecking
E-
shop,
Even
hurting
if you
girls.
don't have
Got
them as a tag team all the time, like you can still have them singles wise, but maybe tag team when they need to or something like
yeah,
that. So,
but that's instant legit. Um, when you see those two across the ring from anybody, you're going to get a match. So
and
it
we've
needs
got
to
to note
happen.
SmackDown episode 1200. Like that's Raw is easily what 1500 episodes into it, but crazy to think that number because sometimes shows get canceled after 3 or 4 episodes, right?
True.
So to think that, and Michael Cole I think was at the first one, so he gets to be part of this one too. Toxic Attraction, we kind of brought it up, Greg. They defeated Italian Sonya Deville. I liked Bailey yelling into the mic of Michael Cole at times. And, like I said, I think I'd like to see maybe Bailey trying to recruit Gigi and JC only for Mandy to be like, no, these are my girls. And, then we get a little, 6 women match out of that, after Clash at the Castle. So, any thoughts on? And I thought Toxic Attraction really carried themselves well in that match against Italian and Sonya Deville.
Yeah, they look good. And they're going to be great on the main roster. It's where they need to go. Um, there's really no competition for them in NXT.
Yeah,
So it's time for to bring them up anyway. And it's working out well with these three-piece trios with Toxic Attraction over here and Bailey and her girls over here. And it just seems to be another one after the other coming up. But instead of just, you know, three random girls, three people that, form a cohesive unit and that we believe can be, a real team. So we need more of that.
And I thought we kind of did we bury maximum male models already, Greg, with the hit row segment?
I hope not. I mean, Hit Row's going to need somebody to fight, so this is a good spot for, Mansoor and
That's what I mean, and I could see that. I feel like we should have reversed it. I think Hit Row should have done this whole like we back song last week and then wrestle this week. But it is what it is. Uh, I think you also have to know your audience, Greg. The Montreal crowd was not feeling the rap as it was. I mean,
yeah, that wasn't the best party planning.
I guess they're not a cipher crowd as it was.
Exactly.
Because
But
that,
it was pretty fire though. I enjoyed it.
yeah, I mean, there was good lines, but I just didn't. And look at me. Of course, I'm not going to get it because that's not my crowd. But at the same time, it seemed like nobody, didn't even Michael Cole or Pat McAfee might have said, "What is happening?" Like, and I'm like, I think this everyone's saying like, you felt like it probably would have been a good debut and then wrestle the next week, and then like I said, I do see your point though. I think Mons, Mansoor and Marseille Greg need to wrestle. So, maybe letting that. Now, what about Maxine kind of digging on Hit Row? Does that, are we're already splitting Maxine up for Max
Hey,
Dupree?
hey, she's a talent scout. She sees talent.
Yeah.
That's all that is.
Okay.
Um, but this the whole Max Mel model is just all about Max Dupree. That's don't get it twisted.
Okay.
This is the entrance point for um, Mansoor and Marseille to um,
Why don't we do
recreate themselves, but we're coming towards the talk show, the one I've been talking about for the last year, with LA Knight slash Max Dupree slash whoever is going to be next. But that talk show is coming, and this is the whole
So
vehicle.
there's
This
too
is
many
what
talk shows, Greg. Now you want another talk show?
hey, this is the talk show that will kill them all.
Gonna kill Miss
So
TV.
right, and, well, like I said, they could have a match to determine who gets the talk show, and
Very good.
he's but
A microphone on a pole match.
there we go. That's what we need. This is the end game.
Yeah.
So you don't see it, but I see it because I know Triple H just saw Eli Drake at his best in TNA, and it's like I want that, and it's coming. So you heard it here first many times already, but this is the end game. It's going to get there. Hit Row's going to get bigger, but the whole thing out of Maximum Male Models is to get Max Dupree on the podium with a microphone in his face, and it's going to be awesome.
To surprise of nobody, Greg, Sheamus wins. Uh, my body is already hurting thinking about Sheamus and Gunther going at it, Greg. We thought Sheamus and Drew, and I mean Ricochet. He took what 23 beat to the bow drum or whatever it's called. I mean he took a beating there on the side because there's no count out, no DQ in a fatal 5-way match, Greg. So Sheamus picks up the win. Do we make anything of it that his boys were not there? Do you think now that Triple H is back, does Pete Dunne get his name back?
No, I think it's going back to the whole, unvaccinated players.
Oh, were
So,
they? Oh, I didn't
may,
realize they were.
no, that's my guess.
Okay.
Is I don't know that that's what it was, but it
Well,
could be
plus
something
Sheamus
like that.
did come out just normal Sheamus. Like he didn't have the coat on, he didn't have the hat. I thought that was interesting.
Hmm.
But they did say the brawling group, or fight club or fight night. I mean, so yeah,
Right. So it could still be. I would love for it to go back to being Pete Dunne because,
yeah.
um, and I think it will happen. He did Triple H a world of good in NXT as Pete Dunne. So, um, you notice the guys are going to start getting their names back. So, um, I would not be surprised at all to see them disappear for a little bit and then come back as their former selves, so to speak.
Well, speaking of, I think a return, Greg. We saw a woman or a woman-esque character in the Viking Raiders funeral. I wonder who that could be. But there was a mysterious figure who, was part of the Viking funeral. So yeah, Sarah Logan back with the Viking Raiders we haven't seen that yet. So I'm all for it.
I forgot what her name was. Who we were talking about? Forgot what her
Yeah.
name was, but yeah, that would be interesting. A female Viking in the mix, add another layer to the onion. I like it. The whole reimagined Viking Raiders has been fun.
Yeah.
So there's a new aura of legitimacy on them, and they've been killing the New Day lately. So I like what they've done so far with them.
And well, that's the thing too. I don't know when the New Day is going to get over because we don't know when Big E will be back.
True.
Even though I feel like he's been pretty quiet, so you almost wonder if maybe things are on the upside for him. So, Liv Morgan defeated Chauncey. How about that kick by Shayna after the match?
Oh God.
There's actually a picture that Liv posted. I mean, she got her legit. So there you go.
Did we have some black and blue happening after that kick?
Yeah, there's a little scar. So, and I don't know if you know, Greg, but Liv and Shotzi were feuding on Twitter, so that's why they got a match on SmackDown, okay. And now Shotzi has deactivated her account again. So, she says she'll be back when she needs to bully someone else. So there you go.
I know. Women being catty, imagine that.
And then how about, we did talk about it. How about the Roman Sami Zayn promo in the backstage, Greg? This is good old Roman at his best, right? Manipulative. Like I said, Sami Zayn's going to get put out to pasture sooner rather than later by the Usos and Roman. And somebody's going to have to save him.
I like that angle. Like I said, I still love him as individuals, but if they come back for this cause and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens being the ones to beat the Bloodline would be epic. Because we've only seen them work against each other for years and years.
Yeah.
We have to almost go back to NXT to see them as a cohesive team. But it just says it's been long overdue. So I won't hate it. I just love seeing KO and Sammy do their thing by themselves. But the Usos have pretty much cleaned out the division, as they to use a boxing or UFC-ish phrase. They've beaten everybody. There's nobody left. So who else can you call up? KO and Sammy would be pretty awesome. So I got to give you that.
Yeah. So Drew McIntyre did take out Roman. Sami Zayn tried to make the save. So at least Sammy's trying to put himself out there. But like we said, something's going to happen to Sammy, Greg. And it's going to be like a Godfather-esque where he's going to kiss him. And it'll be our Julius Caesar and Brutus, A2 Brute. So we're getting it coming soon. It's sorry, Sammy. It's been a good run, oops, but you're gonna get killed soon, and that's all the story wrote. So let's do one more commercial break, Greg, and then we'll get to our last call, and we can kind of go back and forth about Triple H's month run as VP and the stating of Shawn Michaels as his lackey, I guess. So I guess we're just a hire away from Road Dogg, right? Coming back and Billy Gunn, baby. So we'll have all the click back in there. Let's get a quick commercial break, our last one out of the way. Some realty talk, and then we'll get into Triple H's month or so run as creative control and how things have been going.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Dan over at BWSPORTS1.com and Black and White Sports. And I'm wondering if you're ready to buy or sell that home, now's the time, and I got just the person for you. Mr. Sean Nugent, a.k.a. Rockstar Realtor himself. 317-503-8322. Put that home on the market. Get into your dream home with this man. Talk to Sean at Talk to Tucker today, 317-503-8322, and make sure you tell him the boys over at BWSports1.com sent you.
All right, and finally, Greg, I know you've not got a chance to talk about it. We've kind of spiced it in here and there, but I think overall it feels like a fresh air. It really does. I think we all kind of like, it's like we've woken up and it's a new dream. It's a new day for WWE with Triple H in charge creatively. We've seen some sprinkles of what I think he could do, especially at SummerSlam. The debut of EO and the return of Dakota and then Bailey back finally. I think that was all his doing. So yeah, definitely. Then seeing Dexter Loomis back. He's slowly getting things carrying cross. We didn't even get into that, Greg. We forgot to mention when Drew McIntyre grabbed the shirt, the Doomsday Clock was sitting there. So I'm looking forward to that feud after Roman is done, if we go that route. So where do you think, Greg, where things are going for Triple H leading the charge? WrestleMania will probably be the really culmination to see how far things have come, right?
Absolutely. I am loving this. I think, to use Excalibur's words, you got to give the people what they want. And I think what we wanted for a long time is a change in creative. And we always saw Triple H being the heir apparent when Vince left, and then he had his heart issues, and then that seemed to be out the door. But now it's happened. Vince is gone, and Triple H is in power. I had my doubts about it because it seemed like too convenient a smokescreen. Vince says he retires, he's going to walk away from it and leave it. But who's to say there's not some of Vince's minions backstage, and they've got the bat phone into Vince's house, and he's just writing the show from his own house. And so it to his credit, it didn't take long for me to see that wasn't the case. Yeah. Started with SummerSlam and seeing EO and Bailey and Dakota Kai in that first 30 minutes. That kind of told me, okay, here we go. We are going to get something new. And over this last month, we've seen it. But the people we've seen come up from NXT, from the people we've seen called back, fired people who have been brought back into the mix. And the way this Raw and SmackDown and even NXT is flowing right now, you can tell there's an obvious difference in what happened before McMahon and after McMahon. And so I'm loving it. It's each show is more watchable now. It seems like they have more fun with it. They're giving these matches room to breathe. Go back to the Ciampa Lashley match or the AJ Lashley match or the Sheamus and Drew McIntyre match, 30 minutes. They're giving these matches time to breathe and tell the story, and it's not so focused on comedy segments and unnecessary stuff backstage. And there's more focus on wrestling, and then the vernacular changes. Those words that Vince hated to hear or were banned, like the word wrestling or wrestler and wrestle, and taking those banned words off the list. Say what?
he banned the word queef that Drew McIntyre used a couple weeks ago, the tribal queef, which I'm like, whoa, all right. That's whew.
I know,
I didn't realize that was on the banned term.
but we're getting to see that stuff. And cured it,
Hospital,
I don't,
which is still
did
such a
somebody say
crazy.
hospital?
They always say medical facility, but they use
Right.
hospital, which I thought was such a weird thing because it's like a hospital. Like, what what is I mean even the wrestling thing, yes, is bad because of World Wrestling Entertainment. Like, come on, but yeah.
Yeah, but I've noticed a lot of big differences from in this last few months, and
Yeah.
the call ups have been a big deal. Um, and I talked about the in heat wave or not heat wave for the whole AJ and uh, Miz and Ciampa unraveling the storylines and put it together so it makes sense. There's a lot more of that going on, and people who wouldn't be on TV right now under Vince are on TV now, and
Getting
um,
time.
exactly, and getting time to exposure, like with theory that we just talked about. Um, I love this for the people who um, raised his name as part of the cast he had in Black and Gold NXT. Those guys are going to be huge beneficiaries on the main roster now. Um, I'm looking for Ciampa to have a big run at some point. Um, and we talked about Shirai and Dakota Kai coming up, Karrion Cross being back, Hit Row, who should have never been gone in the first place. Now they're back. Um, just these faces that have all the talent in the world, they get the chance in their events. Now they're going to get their time, and they're going to really, really shine because they don't all have to be, built like Bobby Lashley to get over
Yeah.
and make it believable. It could actually be better this way. So I am super excited about what I'm seeing with the creative changes and the people that we're seeing. What are you thinking?
Well, and we've said all along, if we can somehow get that super show like across the board, just imagine how much excitement there would be for wrestling fans. Somehow Tony Khan, Triple H, Scott D'Amore from Impact, you
Hmm.
all just get on the page and do it in summertime next year or the year after. We always talk about summer's kind of
Yeah,
a lull time. I mean, like Forbidden
right.
Door, truly make it a Forbidden Door. Don't even almost don't have matches announced. Like maybe champions are just calling out open challenges, and we don't necessarily know what matches are going to
Yeah,
happen or
who
something
could
like
come?
that. But
Yeah,
we're obviously worlds away from that, Greg. But there is some glimmer of hope that, man, if we could get something like that, especially like Lashley saying he'd like to take anyone on from anywhere. you know, why couldn't we do a U.S. Open challenge and bring in a guy for even a small run, a tryout in a way on national TV
hmm,
that might not normally get it.
yeah.
So, um, yeah, it'll be
All right. So give
like I said.
me.
I Go ahead.
I was like, give me who are you still waiting to see?
Uh,
Who's
I mean,
at top of mind when?
Bray Wyatt is the one, right? I mean, we got to figure out what he's doing. Is that who? Or do you mean like independent ones?
No, I mean as far as
Anybody? It's got to
in
be Bray.
WWE,
I
as far as
I keep thinking
who's
Bray, Bray, Bray. Like, when is he coming back?
uh,
Who is it for you?
um,
Sasha, Naomi?
no, three names
Okay.
come to mind. Uh, Bray is definitely my number three,
Okay.
and um, I'd love to see him back in the NXT or not NXT in the WWE um, family, but I think there's that chance he's going to end up in AEW.
Yeah.
So that's why he's in number 3, because I think he could go either way. And I would trust Tony Khan to do as well or better with him than Triple H can do. It's about that creative control, and is Triple H willing to give more creative control to Bray over his character than Vince did? Because I think that's where the Fiend unraveled, because there was too many unexplained, why did he lose to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia? Why did he lose here? Why did he lose there? Why did his character just lose its punch here?
Instead, just put on that
Yeah.
stud of a match.
Yeah. So, and I heard there was some, headbutting about how that character should go. So I trust Triple H a lot more with it than Vince, but I can see it. He would be amazing in AEW too. So that's why I have Bray on number 3 on my list. Number 2 is kind of for the same reason, is Johnny Gargano. We already talked about him, and there's a lot greater chance now with Triple H in control that Johnny Gargano stays WWE and ends up on the main roster, where he should have been a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we can restart DIY and have another legit tag team, or we can keep them enemies and have another banger of a match. That third match that they had in the warehouse. We're going to figure that match even happened and have a legitimate third match in the series between Ciampa and Gargano that would bring the house down again. So I'd love to see Johnny Gargano back under Triple H for the run that he hasn't had in on the main roster yet. But again, I can see him in AEW also. So those are my number 2 and number 3. Number 1 is going to be a name that you haven't thought about in a while, and I haven't even mentioned him, so I'm sure it's a surprise. But this guy was it in NXT a while ago. All the fanfare, all the momentum, and unfortunately, he just kind of went off the rails, and he had some personal issues, we'll say, and got in trouble, got kicked out, and it's been, I haven't looked up, but I would say at least 2, almost 3 years since we've seen him on WWE or NXT TV. And I think that's plenty of time to rehabilitate your image, been working on it, and get your life together, get ready to come back and do big things. And this guy can do the biggest things. And with Triple H in control. No.
Not Bo Dallas?
No, not Bo Dallas. But this guy could be the biggest star in WWE, period. If we bring him back and just add some more shine on him than he had before, which in NXT, he was amazing. He could be even better. Again, with Triple H in control and the lights and thunder he had before. So does another name come to your mind?
No, I'm on the edge of my seat though, Greg, waiting, as you can tell.
My guy,
Cesaro. No.
Velveteen Dream. Talk about guys under 25 who would be amazing on the main roster.
Imagine, he has been radio silent. Yeah.
We have seen hide nor hair of him, and I'm sure he's been, rehabilitating his image. Right, and getting his life right. But when he was on, he was amazing. And his matches were phenomenal.
Adam Cole. I'll still give us that. He should be Adam Cole in that thing.
I agree. And those entrances were amazing. His promos were amazing, and his matches were fire. So I've said it many times. One of my favorite storylines in the last 10 years was the whole "Say My Name" storyline with Aleister Black.
Black.
Um, just simple but brilliant, and the way that they all carried it out was awesome. So I think you bring back Velveteen Dream, you know, taking it. He's brought his life around, and he's good to go. That this guy could be mega bucks on the main roster, just taking what he did in the NXT and just turning it up even more.
And like you
He
said, I
would
think enough
be
time has
the
passed.
biggest star. Yeah.
I think enough time has passed. The fact that he hasn't been anywhere. I mean, like I said, I haven't seen him anywhere advertised anywhere. So, yeah. Real quick, Greg, who do you think, somebody brought this up before, who should Edge's final match be against? I mean, is the easy name John Cena? Because those two have been tied so much at the hip. Or should it be Randy?
No, we've been there, done that enough with Randy. Going back to WrestleMania, going back to the greatest wrestling match ever, and that whole chaotic series of matches. I think it's been there, done that. Edge's final match. Actually, I think it would be fun to do it against Batista and relive that match that they had.
You know, I
That's the
guess
name that comes to
you really
mind.
want to go out there, Christian. I mean, you know, I mean, in a way, wouldn't that, I mean, that's full circle as it could be. But Gangrel, can Gangrel come back one time? Or really, Greg, I mean,
He could.
it should be Edge and Christian as a whole. If you really, you know,
Yeah,
if you think about it.
Edge and
It's
Christian
hard.
together for.
They all retire at once. I mean, that's how that. They all retire. They all go in the Hall of Fame together. Actually, Edge and Christian have already been in. Or did they? Did Edge and Christian already go in together, or just Edge?
I believe it was just Edge.
Okay, I knew it was Edge for sure.
I'm not certain though.
Okay, but then yeah. So yeah, I had Edge on the mind because Edge's AEW or A&E biography airs tonight, and then he has his rivalry like show with John Cena after that. So it's all about Edge on my brain today, Greg. But Edge and Batista, I hadn't really thought about that one, but or maybe you
And
know,
then he
you
had
could also,
a great series of matches with Mark Henry.
yeah. Oh, he did, yeah. I mean, in a way, if you wanted to do Edge and AJ Styles, loser leaves WWE, that's a way to write off one of them or both of them somehow. But yeah.
Yeah, too late to do Undertaker, so yeah, why not?
Yeah. Oh, well, Edge and Taker, that would have made a lot of sense too. They have a lot of history with, you know, back in the day. So, where do we put Edge in the top 25?
Yeah, I think for sure.
Like,
Given his
big,
contribution from the Brood to the Edge and Christian era to an epic solo run.
Would you have done that even without the second act?
Yeah, because then you had to throw in the Team Extreme era, that first TLC match. They changed the game for tag teams.
And just the fact that
just
he
with that
changed his
match.
personas, him and like JBL. Like, think about where Bradshaw started. I mean, he was,
True.
you know, the smoking gun or whatever. What? No, yeah. I thought it was smoking guns or something like that. Like, there's a real random, you know, him and Billy Gunn might have been something like that. So to see Bradshaw turn around what he did. So, I mean, I guess Edge Edge gets a little shafted, Greg, because he was in the John Cena era. I mean, you had Edge, or you had Cena, Orton, Batista, Lesnar. I mean, you had that class came up just as Edge was getting the singles start. So,
Yeah.
I get, a little bit after, but still, a lot of those guys like Edge, like Ray, Eddie Guerrero, you know, they got to be the top guy for a short time. I mean, Edge actually did get the run, but it seemed like a few times he got the carpet pulled out from him, but he was always just right there. So, and then that worked with La Familia, him and Vicky, like that stuff, and Chavo, and then with what was Alicia Fox, I think he's caught making out with her to end the wedding, and then Vicky goes haywire on him. So, yeah, talk about a career for Edge. So, like I said, I think his time is winding down. You could kind of
Yeah, but
see Father Time creeping up on him.
yeah, but his contribution is he gets in before the second act even happens. So
Yeah, he did. He did. So that's all we had. But yeah. So. All right. Anything else for the good of the cause, Greg?
yeah, shout out to Kofi Kingston. I saw him in the airport
Okay.
a couple days ago with his kids, and also shout out to JR. I put him on a flight myself just the day before yesterday, uh, on a flight to Jacksonville, and he was one of the VIPs. Uh, Came up, and he is a small guy. You figure he'd be a little bit bigger, but he's a small guy, or at least he's smaller than he used to be.
Yeah.
But very nice guy, and um, it was nice getting to talk to him for a couple minutes before putting him on the plane. So shout out JR, and man, shout out to you, all over the place, meeting all the wrestlers.
All the wrestlers,
Oh,
yeah.
geez, man, it's like
But I don't
Taker,
know,
John
the
Cena.
pick of Sasha, Greg, he didn't look that great. Something about
Really?
the makeup. She's back to brownish hair now, so it looks a little bit better. Very low key. I didn't say much to her. Um, I told Taker about my Trivial Pursuit question where I mentioned to him, man, if you would have started the streak 1 year later, I could have been at the beginning and the end of it. Uh, and then talking to Trish, Greg, says somebody behind me has a yearbook. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Trish Stratus was in his high school, 2 years ahead of him. So he had her sign his yearbook from high school.
That's awesome.
I know. I was like, man, we're going to look really weird because I gave her a T-shirt. You got this guy with a yearbook, another guy with a poster of her, like, in some skimpy bathing suit, like in front of lockers. That was like an old promo. I'm like, man, she's really going to think we're weird just coming up with this. Trish and Lita definitely were the most personable people, though, I met. Taker was Taker. I will give him more. I thought he was more personable than I thought, Greg. When we got our picture, he was like, hey, thanks for coming. Which was more than I thought he would have even said.
Right.
So, and then, the little signing, I didn't say much, but I got to regale him with that that amazing story. I'm sure he was so excited to hear. But Trish and Leah were definitely enjoyable to talk to. And also, Frankie Munoz was there, and I did not see him.
Oh, is he so short?
He was short. Oh, and Rosario Dawson, who had her own little cavalcade of curtains, Greg. Like she was all closed up. She did not want anyone other than people paying the money to see her and get her autograph.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, she legit had curtains around, like it just showed her sign on the front. So, yeah, saw John Cena last year. The C2E2 will be on WrestleMania weekend next year, though, Greg. So I'll be interested to see if they get any wrestling people because it's literally March 31st, April 1st, and April 2nd. That's going to be a very tough weekend to try to get. I mean, I guess you could get Hall. Well, depends on who's getting in the Hall of Fame. So my holy grail is still out there, though. Stone Cold. I need to figure out when I can meet him. Who is your holy grail, Greg, to meet in person?
Triple H,
Yeah.
Ric Flair,
Okay.
who, as much as I'm in the airport and I hear he comes through all the time, I still haven't seen him.
Yeah.
And Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. You think we'll ever see Lesnar do the convention tours?
Hell no.
Not even the FFA, not Future Farmers of America or state fairs.
Oh no, I don't know if there's a big enough.
I mean, I thought hell no on Taker, Greg, but I mean, the money talked and he went there. So
Brock doing the circuit, no, he's between his WWE money and his UFC money. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see him on the circuit.
I suppose we don't see Sable out there. I think some of those like 2000s women, like Candice Michelle, Christy Hemme, you do see Maria still out there with Mike Bennett.
Yeah.
You see them out, like not necessarily conventions, here and there, but
Yeah. Candice Michelle,
Tori Wilson, Stacy Keebler, like you never see those women really, at these things. So you would think their money has run out by now, Greg. So yeah, but it was really that was a really fun weekend. Taker, I thought last year I met Cena, CM Punk, Adam Cole, and Hangman Adam Page. So I was like, man, that's hard to top that. But Sasha, Trish, Lita, and Taker might have one up that. So
yeah,
like I said, I don't know when I'm ever going to meet Taker. I mean, this is the closest I was going to be probably to meet him. So I think like I said, I think Stone Cold is up there for me. The Rock. Triple H would complete my evolution tour, Greg, because I met Orton, Batista, and Ric Flair. I've met them at different conventions, so I still need Moxley to complete my Shield trifecta.
nice.
Because I met Roman at the World of Wheels right after his leukemia diagnosis. He was at the World of Wheels here in Indy, so that's where I'm like, why is Stone Cold not doing a World of Wheels? I mean, that's cars. That's what he loves. So I'm hoping in the next couple of years he might, show up and pawn his beer, and I can finally add to my tattoo of his signature. I've already said, Greg, I'm going to get the signature, book a tattoo appointment that day, and be like, I want this. Just put it on there. So I'll spend all my money on that. But
hey, there you go. That would be cool.
And then women-wise, I mean, it's Becky and Bailey for me and Charlotte. Like I want to complete the 4 horsemen circuit. Becky and Bailey are probably my top. I'm scared to stare next to Charlotte because she's going to look so much taller than me, which she is. So. And she'll wear heels, Greg, so she's going to be like 6 feet, just towering over. So.
Right. You already know who my group is: Asuka and Nikita, and Charlotte. Because I'm tall, I don't have to worry about it.
All right. I did watch the Charlotte Stone Cold podcast. She really, I don't think she wanted to touch the Becky stuff as much as Stone Cold wanted her to. I definitely think there's a shift there, which kind of sucks because you think back how close the 4 horsemen were, Greg, and you think they're going to, and I know people change, and I mean Becky's a mom and married, and now Charlotte did make a good point that I think they both relied on each other a lot, but now that they're married, now you have that support of a husband, so that actually helps that. But and who knows, I mean I don't think we envision Trish and Lita being best friends down the road, and now they're showing up at conventions together, or Stone Cold and The Rock. So maybe down the road, Charlotte and Becky mend the fences and kind of get back together on the same page. So
Yeah.
but interesting, And then he did ask about. He did bring up Sasha and Naomi walking out, and she gave the old company line like, do what they need to do. I'm not going to comment on it, but I am going to comment on it. So, but yeah, not much. I thought it'd be a little more telling, I guess. It's one of those like, there's because I think there's a lot behind Charlotte, and you just have to crack those layers of it. So.
Right.
Alrighty, we will get off here. Back at it next week. Then is next week? Is that all out weekend? No, the week after. Sorry. So I'll have one more week, and then we'll have our busy. We'll have to figure out what time to go live on Saturday morning. Since Clash at the Castle will be live at 1:30 or one-ish starting time. So we'll do a little breakfast Superkick edition, and then go live on Sunday to preview Worlds Collide and all that. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the evening, and talk to you guys later.
Peace.